question for you. What do you think a really well-known neuroscience podcast, the one doing all those deep dives on optimization, what does it have in common with an ancient martial art? You know, one rooted in self-discipline, especially when we're talking about peak performance. Sounds kind of like a riddle, doesn't it? But today, in this deep dive, we're actually going to unpack a really, really fascinating connection. Our whole mission here is to explore how modern science insights about sleep, specifically from the Huberman Lab sleep series, how they just seamlessly align with, well, the timeless wisdom found in Jujutsu philosophy, particularly its ideas around balance, sometimes called the 753 Code. And we're drawing all this from a really insightful article. It's called The Foundation of Rest, Connecting the Huberman Lab Sleep Series to Jujutsu Philosophy, founded on the Self-Defense Academy COS blog.
Right. And this isn't just about, listing facts from the podcast or the article. It's really about understanding the deep, actionable implications rest has for your body, your mind, your emotions, whether you're actually practicing martial arts, trying to get better, or honestly just dealing with the stresses of everyday life. The real question we're digging into is, how can we integrate these two things? Science and this older philosophy, how do we integrate them to actually optimize our lives in a way that works?
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that. The article makes it clear right away. In martial arts, especially something demanding like jujutsu, rest isn't an afterthought. It's absolutely critical, paramount even. And the whole philosophy of jujutsu, championing balance and harmony. Sometimes they talk about that 753 code virtues like perseverance, respect, self-awareness. It positions rest as totally fundamental, a cornerstone for training for wellness. It's not just nice if you get it, it's like non-negotiable. So let's dive into how the Huberman Lab series connects here. We can go episode by episode, see what we can pull out. Let's start with Huberman's episode 1. Dr. Matthew Walker is on there, and he really hammers home that sleep needs are individual. How important it is to understand your unique requirements is definitely not one size fits all. But for someone training in martial arts, how does knowing your biological clock fit with knowing your limits?
That's a really key point. And it ties straight into that jujitsu idea of knowing oneself.
Yeah.
Traditional martial arts often rely a lot on intuition, listening to your body. But Walker brings in the science. He talks about chronotypes. Are you an early bird, a night owl? Even genetic stuff that affects how much sleep we need. So for a jujitsu person, understanding this scientific layer means they can actually tailor their training, their recovery, tailor it precisely to their body's natural rhythms, not just pushing through being tired. It's self-awareness, yeah, but like with a scientific edge.
That's a cool layer. So, okay, you get that self-awareness. Then the next logical step, which Huberman covers in episode 2, is actually setting up your environment for sleep. The article mentions practical tips, dialing in the bedroom, having a consistent bedtime routine. What parallels do you see there with the discipline of jujutsu practice?
Oh, it aligns perfectly.
Yep.
Discipline and consistency, core jujitsu principles.
Right.
And Huberman goes beyond just make it dark. He talks specific tactics. Things like using cold exposure before bed, maybe, being strict about light in the morning, even timing when you eat and drink to really boost sleep quality. It's just like in jujitsu, you practice forms. You do repetitive drills to build mastery. Applying these sleep strategies consistently builds this really solid foundation for good rest. And that helps prevent injuries, helps you learn better when you're awake. That consistency in the small sleep habits, it pays off directly in consistent performance, in resilience.
Okay, episode 3. This one gets into naps, caffeine, and sleep timing. This stuff can feel like a real minefield for anyone just trying to manage their energy during the day, right? What were the sort of key distinctions the article pulled out here that jumped out at you?
Yeah, this part really connects to the jujitsu idea of balance, war. Huberman explains how, like a short power nap, maybe 20 minutes, that can really help clear out adenosine, boost alertness. But nap too long, and you mess up your nighttime sleep, your circadian rhythm gets thrown off. Same with caffeine. It has that half-life, so that afternoon coffee. It can seriously interfere with sleep, even if you don't feel wired. The article really stresses that understanding these biological timings, not just for training, but for rest, it's vital. Vital for keeping that equilibrium you need for peak performance and just to general well-being. It's about using these tools, naps or caffeine, without letting them knock you off balance.
That makes total sense. I think most of us have had that experience, right? The bad nap where you wake up feeling worse. Does the article or maybe Huberman give any surprising tips for making naps actually restorative? Maybe something a martial artist could specifically use, say, before a late training session or competition?
Oh, definitely. The key, Huberman often points out, is keep them short, like 20, maybe 30 minutes max, and use them proactively before you're totally wiped out. So for a martial artist, Maybe a quick pre-training nap, just enough to top up alertness without going into deep sleep, or maybe even using a specific meditation technique to drop into that restorative state quickly. It's all about optimizing the timing, the duration, so it works with your nighttime sleep, not against it.
Right, right. Okay, moving to episode 4. This shifts focus to how sleep impacts creativity and learning. The article points out this is super relevant for jujitsu folks trying to master techniques. It's clearly not just about muscle memory or drilling on the mat, is it?
No, not at all. Far from it. Quality sleep. And Huberman gets specific here, talking about brain waves during REM and deep sleep. It's not just vague cognitive enhancement. It's an active process. Skill consolidation happens, memory formation, even problem solving. So a jiu-jitsu practitioner might be struggling with some complex move during the day, but then they sleep well, and the next day, it just flows better. Your brain literally replays and optimizes those motor skills while you sleep. It's a massive, often overlooked part of learning in martial arts.
Wow, so it's almost like your brain keeps training even when your body's resting. Does the article suggest that this mental processing during sleep could maybe reduce the need for some physical drilling, or is it always just synergy?
It's more like a powerful synergy, yeah. Sleep doesn't replace practice on the mat, but it makes the practice you do get way more efficient. Think about it. Train for an hour, sleep well. That hour consolidates better than if you trained then slept poorly. It might mean you can reach mastery with fewer reps, maybe, because the brain's doing serious work behind the scenes. It's about working smarter, not just harder, using the brain's own learning systems.
Makes sense. Then episode 5 gets into the really deep connection between sleep and mental health. And the article specifically mentions mental resilience being core to that Jujutsu 753 code. How exactly does getting enough rest strengthen the mind for that kind of resilience?
Well, adequate rest fundamentally helps regulate our emotions and how we handle stress.
Yep.
When you're sleep deprived, your amygdala, that's your brain's fear center, it gets hyperactive. And at the same time, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for rational thought, emotional control, it gets impaired. So for someone practicing jiu-jitsu, this directly affects their ability to stay calm under pressure, right?
Yeah.
To keep focused during sparring, to maintain that positive outlook you need to persevere. Like Dr. Walker says, good sleep is this incredibly powerful tool for mental well-being, often undervalued. But it's just as vital in jiu-jitsu as, physical strength.
So that link between sleep and mental state, how does that play out when someone's actually under pressure, like in sparring or a competition?
It's pretty direct. When you're rested, your ability to regulate emotions is just higher. You can process what's happening more clearly. You respond thoughtfully instead of just reacting. Your whole fight or flight system isn't so easily triggered by small things. For a martial artist, that means making better tactical choices on the fly, staying composed even if you take a hit, maintaining that mental toughness through a whole match or intense training. It really is the difference between falling apart under pressure and performing at your best.
Okay, finally, the last episode breakdown, episode 6. Huberman and Walker explore dreams and lucid dreaming. This feels pretty introspective. How does that hook into the self-discovery part of jiu-jitsu?
It connects beautifully, actually.
Yeah.
With that introspective side of jiu-jitsu, the part that emphasizes understanding your inner self to find harmony and mastery. Dreams are basically your brain processing emotions, locking in memories, maybe even working on problems while you're unconscious. And lucid dreaming, that offers this unique chance to consciously explore that inner world. For a martial artist, maybe this isn't just about reflecting on the day. It could be about gaining insights into fears, managing internal conflicts, maybe even mentally rehearsing moves in a totally safe space. It's kind of an untapped resource for reflection, for personal growth.
So looking at it from the article's view, what can that inner world, even during sleep, teach you about yourself that might directly affect your practice when you're awake?
It suggests that the insights you get from paying attention to your dreams, they can lead to deeper self-awareness. For instance, maybe recurring dream themes highlight anxieties you didn't realize were affecting your focus or confidence in training. Or maybe you have a dream where you overcome something tough, and that gives you a subconscious confidence boost. It just reinforces that the path to mastery in jiu-jitsu isn't only physical, it's really a holistic journey. It includes understanding and using your whole mental and emotional landscape, even the parts that are active when you're asleep.
So wrapping this all up, what does this mean for you listening right now? Our deep dive into these sources, the article and the Huberman series, it powerfully reinforces that rest isn't just passive downtime. It's an active, crucial part of training, of daily life, absolutely essential for physical recovery, sure, but also mental clarity, emotional stability, even that deeper self-knowledge we just talked about.
Yeah, the core takeaway really is that putting together these timeless ideas from jujitsu with the modern scientific insights on sleep, it's not just theoretical. It gives you a practical roadmap, a way to build a more balanced, more effective, and honestly, a more fulfilling practice. Whatever your goals are in life, really, it fundamentally changes how you see rest. It's not a luxury. It's a pillar of high performance.
So the final thought here, prioritize your rest just as diligently as you prioritize your training or your work, and then watch the transformative power it brings. As the source material put it so well, quoting Ralph Marston, rest when you're weary. Refresh and renew yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit, then get back to work. Because ultimately, you are worth defending.